Shabby from Project 39 Mini Albums. I am honored to be a guest designer for Not Too Shabby for the Box of the Month Club. That includes, and let me show you as I talk through this, 2 paper pads, 3 stamp sets, and coordinating ephemera. You get 2 packages of the ephemera die cut pieces. I decided to do a mini album using the Let's Have S'mores paper collection along with some of the ephemera die cut and some of the sentiments from the stamp sets. So let's take a look at this mini album. This measures 6.5 by 5.5 by about 2.25 inches is the spine. So we will go ahead and take it inside. And let me tell you, this is a really easy to make mini album. There's not a hinge. It's not difficult. It's just scoring, covering the chipboard, and adding the decoration. So you get to start decorating really quickly. So the cover has, this is 4 pieces of the ephemera die cut pieces. I put them on a piece of the paper, cut around it, added white paper, cut around it, added the craft paper, which is what I made this album out of. And then I stamped this image and put it on some sand color cardstock just to coordinate with everything else here. Added a couple of the hearts. This is popped up, although you probably can't see it from where you are. To add a little bit of texture on here, I added a couple layers of string, and I show you in the tutorial how to do that. There are several layers of the paper just so we can mat it with a couple of different colors and have it really show up. Okay, let me show you inside. So inside the front inside cover, I made a little bird's nest out of some string and added some die cut pieces on top of that, and this is popped up, and so is that. So this gives you a little 3x4 spot to put little photos. I loved this paper, so I didn't want to cover it up. I just added a marshmallow for effect. And then there's a tag here that you can add photos or journaling to. And incidentally, I do like to include pockets in my mini albums. You can add extra photos. You can add memorabilia, maybe a brochure from a place you went to, maybe ticket stubs, maybe a newspaper clipping or whatever. Pockets are great for that. The next page has another photo mat, and the photo mat actually is a tuck spot. It's got a little spot so you can journal here, and that just hides there. There's just a little piece of the die cut ephemera. There's another tag in this pocket, and I used one of the sentiments from one of these stamps sets. It is open still, so you could put a photograph underneath that, or this is great for journaling. You could journal on there. And then that's one of the die cut ephemera pieces. Over here, I just added some of the paper just to coordinate with it. There's the ephemera. That's one of the stamp sentiments. And here's just one of the pieces of ephemera. This pocket holds a little folder, and I made this using some of the scraps from after I cut it out to fit the page, similar to how you would make cards. So if you have folders in your mini albums, decorate it like you would decorate a card. Now inside, I left the white cardstock there, but I have the stamped images from another one of the stamp sets. I loved these stamped images, and there is another one right there on the back. Very, very cute. And that goes back inside that pocket. This next page, love this color. Isn't this fabulous for camping? So here's another small spot to put a photo, another piece of die cut ephemera, and there is a little tuck spot hidden there. I used the chocolate as a pull tab. And then there's that paper there, but that's a good spot to do a little bit of journaling, and you could add a small photo there if you wanted to. So that just gets hidden right in there. And then here is another one of the tags. I simply had a round circle, punched it, and added some of this twine that I had in my stash. This is another one of the stamps. I backed it on some brown cardstock. I cut one of these sticks that's supposed to be for roasting s'mores, but now it makes it a signpost. So Find Your Wild is very appropriate. And then here on the last page, this campfire makes the perfect tuck spot for this, where is a good spot to put a photo. Now, you don't have to put a rectangular photo. If you have a square photo, it makes it look like a Polaroid. So that just tucks in there, and a good spot to add your photo. I just added a small little tuck spot here, give you more room for journaling or a little photo, and here's room for a little bigger photo. And of course, this Happy Trails is open, so you can add photos to that. The back page just has some of that brown paper. It's got little hearts on it. It's really adorable. And then here we are to this spine, and there we are back to the cover. So I used the Let's Have S'more paper. I had about 4 or 5 sheets left over. I can make some cards with it, so stay tuned. I'll be using some of the stamps and doing some Copic coloring with that. So let me show you how I made the mini album. Like I say, it's really easy. You'll just need a couple of sheets of 8.5 by 11, 65-pound cardstock, and some adhesive, and I'll tell you if there's anything else we need as we go. So let's get started. All right, I am using an 8.5 by 11 piece of medium weight chipboard. I'm going to cut this down to 6.5. Don't throw that out. We're going to save that. And then I'm going to cut this down to 5.5. So you'll have 2 pieces of 6.5 by 5.5. And this we're going to cut down to 6.5. All right, this we can discard or save it to make other things or to mix glue on or all sorts of things. So 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 5.5 and one that is 2? Yeah, 2 by 6.5. All right, so I've cut 2 pieces of cardstock. This is 65-pound weight in a craft color to 8.5 by 8.5. I'm going to take a piece of 1/4-inch double-sided adhesive and add it to one of those sides. I'll go ahead and peel off the backing of that and put one on the other. To make sure it's straight, I'm using the grid on my mat, lining up the bottom, making sure it's parallel with the bottom of my cardstock. Make sure this is even as well, and lay it down. If it's not perfect, that's okay. I'll burnish that and get a good stick. Now I've taken some double-sided adhesive and put it on the back of my chipboard. Of course, you can see it's in pieces, but that's okay. And I'm going to do my best to line this up so this is centered top and bottom, and where the joining will be as close to the center as possible. If it's not perfect, that's okay. All right, before I put on the next 2 pieces, I'm taking more of the 1/4-inch double-sided permanent adhesive and putting one on each side of the chipboard for the spine. I'll go ahead and burnish. Now these are easy mini albums to make. We're not going to do anything too complicated. We're just going to keep it simple. That way you can make it for craft fairs or make it easy to add photos of your family and friends and just get the pictures in. All right, I'm taking off the double-sided adhesive again. And so I've got the 1/4-inch score tape. You can see the little sheen. And I'm going to put this just right on the edge of that double-sided adhesive. So there will be about 3/16 of an inch of a channel. I'll pull off the backing on here and do the same with the other piece of chipboard. I'm just eyeballing things right at this point now. I guess you could use spacers, you could measure it, you could make a line, you could draw a line, but I am okay with just eyeballing it. I'm going to burnish on this side, and then I'm also going to burnish so we can see where the edge of the chipboard is, and that'll help it fold. I'll use my surface to push everything down and just crease it with my fingers. And here I'll burnish with my bone folder and do the same with this side. No glue yet to keep it together. I'm just burnishing with my fingers and the bone folder. Okay, now here I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut across and take off some of this corner. Now you could take off the rectangle, but I'm just going to go straight across, staying about 1/8 of an inch away from that little corner of our chipboard. Now, if you ever feel like you've gone too close, you can take one of these pieces and just glue it down on here, and nobody will ever know. Glue it down right here, and nobody will ever know. All right, now I'm going to take my permanent adhesive. I'm trying to get it all in camera. And I'm going to do a bead of glue right along the chipboard. And I'm going to go along the edges of the cardstock and zigzag so we have enough glue on there. Take my bone folder, push this so it's right up against the edge of that chipboard. By putting the glue there, it moistens the fibers and helps it fold a little easier. When I feel like I've got a good straight line, I'll pull this over with my fingers and use the bone folder to burnish and distribute the glue. Now, if you have glue seeping out, you can use, I'm using a microfiber scrap just to clean up some of the lines of the glue. I'll do the other side, and again, a bead of glue right next to the chipboard. And zigzag. Bone folder, go up against the edge. You'll see that glue seeping out of the crease. That way you know you've got a good stick. And I'm going to burnish right at that edge. Clean that up. And burnish. Okay, before I do the short ends, I'm just going to take my bone folder and push in the edge of the cardstock. That way we know the chipboard's not going to show. Line of glue. And there we go. Another line of blue. And I'll clean up any excess. Oops. Okay, so now we've got the album covered. Now where we've got these channels, I'm going to take my bone folder and with the blunt end, I'm just going to go back and forth and push this. And I'll also lift up the cover a little bit just so the cardstock on the top meets with the cardstock on the bottom, and it will adhere because we've got that double-sided adhesive. I'll do the same for this side. And fold. And burnish on the edge. So there we've got our cover. All right, now that we've got the cover made, we're going to cover this and decorate, well, not completely decorate, and add pattern paper to the inside front and back covers and the outside front and back covers. So for that, you'll need 4 pieces of pattern paper that are 5 by 5 7/8. You'll need 4 pieces of coordinating cardstock. I'm using some white cardstock, 5 1/8 by 6. Some more coordinating cardstock. I'm using some brown, and you'll need 4 pieces that are 5 1/4 by 6 3/16. Sorry for those tiny measurements. And then I just cut a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 paper down. So I have 8 1/2 by 6 3/8 and 4 3/4 by 6 3/8. All right, so I'm going to adhere this to the inside of the cover, and we're going to cover this whole piece. So it's going to adhere. I've got the double-sided tape right in there, so this is going to stick to it. I don't want to put glue where that is. Now, I did take the fine tip off of my glue, and I'm not going to put any glue right at the edge because there's so much here. So I'm going to take this first, and we're going to stay about an 1/8 of an inch from the edge, making sure it's going to be straight on there. So basically it's just sticking to the spine right now, the inside spine. I'll grab my bone folder and burnish. It's really important that there's good adhesion on the spine because we're going to add the pages on top of that. So I am probably going a little more generous with the glue than I normally would, but again, everything's going to stick to that, so I want to make sure we have a good adhesion. So I'm burnishing real well. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and go in that channel so this sticks to the double-sided tape on the inside. Now we'll go ahead and add some more glue to this piece. Some there, and I'll probably be putting my, got way too much glue there. I'll be putting my fine tip back on in just a second. I see some glue coming out, so I'm going to clean that as soon as I can. I'll fold this up to get that good adhesion on there. And then I'll burnish all this down. And there's lots of glue coming out, so I will clean that up. Again, I'm just using an old microfiber that I just clean. I throw it in the wash. Okay, then I'll burnish down here in this channel so that sticks to the double-sided adhesive. Adding my little metal tip to it. And I'll pull this up, make sure there's a little bead of glue there. Okay. All right, I'll let that dry flat, and while that is drying flat, I will work on the outside cover. So I've got these 4 pieces of the dark brown cardstock. I'm going to put that on, then layer the white, and then the pattern paper. And just to let you know, I do end up changing the cover as I get on with the decorating. All right, this is the outside of the book. I'm going to cover the outside spine. I'm going to start with a piece of brown cardstock that's 2 1/8 by 6 3/8. And we will glue that down. Just put that down and center it real well. And then a piece of white cardstock, 1 7/8 by 6 1/8. And of course, with the next one, if you have a dangle, you can add it to the pattern paper before you put it on. And the pattern paper is 1 3/4 by 5 7/8. Do I want this one or this one? I'm going to put this so I can add some embellishments on it that doesn't conflict with it. And I love this brown. It's pretty. So I'll burnish that real well. Make sure that glue is adhering. And so there is our cover. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of interest to the front cover. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted to add something. This is about 1 3/8 by 6 3/8. This is 1 1/8 by 6 1/8. And this is just about 1 at 5 7/8. So I'm going to add the brown onto the craft. And then this is pattern paper. This was left over when we cut the cover. And I'm going to add that onto the brown. I'm going to put this even with the edge of the brown. So you'll see a little bit of the craft. And I've got some brown twine. I'm going to wind it around. First, I'm going to just adhere it with some double-sided adhesive at one end, around once, twice, that's 3 times, and I'll tape it here. Put this off there, and then go here at the top and just tie a little bow. Now, if you have a charm, this would look cute on there. And what I'll also do, just to make sure it doesn't move anywhere, is add a dab of glue here at the knot and glue that down on there. When that dries, that'll just sit right there and not go anywhere. But now we want to adhere this onto the cover. So I'm going to get some double-sided tape and put it on right at the edge, just because it's easier to put on the cover with some double-sided tape. And in addition to the double-sided adhesive, I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the center. And I'll put this onto the left-hand side of this front cover, close to where the spine is. And there we go. And then I'll embellish the cover a little bit more, but that's good for right now. You may be excited to learn that there's not a hinge to this mini album. So to make the pages, we'll need 4 pieces that are 8.5 by 5.5. I'm going to put the 5.5 side at the top of the scoreboard, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. I'll rotate so the score line is up at the top, and I'm going to score at 2 3/8. So we'll do that with all 4 pieces. With the 5.5 inch side at the top, score at 1/2 inch, rotate it so the score line's at the top and the 8.5 inch side is at the top, and score at 2 3/8. Just one little line to the left of the 1/2 inch. Okay, now what I want to do is, you can see the score line. I've got the 1/2 inch score towards me. I'm going to cut right up to this first score line, just like that. Do that to all 4 of our pieces. And then I am going to fold on the 2 3/8 score line, and I'm going to take this little 1/2 inch tab on the 2 3/8 line and fold it in. This other 1/2 inch score line, I'll turn this over and fold it this way. So the small 2 3/8 portions on the bottom, the score line here is up, going to the right, and then on the underneath side, the 1/2 inch tab is underneath, going to the right. Now what we're going to do is add a little bit of glue onto this 1/2 inch tab here. And then I'll fold this up and burnish. And I'm also going to take and add a bead of glue on this side and burnish. I guess we could do that all at one time. I'll show you. Okay, so here's my 2 3/8. This one piece is going to go under. This piece is going to go up. We'll burnish. Fold this up. And we'll add glue here, our 1/2 inch tab, and a line right at the edge, and burnish. So what that does, obviously, is it makes a pocket, and we've got this flap, and that's what we're going to use to adhere the page to the book. We'll do one more the same way, and the other one's going to be a little bit different. This piece will go up. This little one will be under. And so we'll fold that. And it helps if you make sure this is lined up as you crease on your score line. So I'll add glue, a little bead of glue at the edge, and burnish. Okay, now our fourth piece, we're going to cut the same, cut this little piece, but we're going to do this different. Both these flaps are going to be folded up. And I'm going to open this and glue this way. So I'll do the same here, add glue to this little flap, do a little bead of glue, and fold that up. But we've got this coming up. It goes, instead of going in the back, it comes up to the front. All right, so we've got three of these, whoops, three of these with this little flap underneath, this one with the flap facing up. So first of all, this first one is going to be about 3/8 of an inch away from the edge of the crease, 3/8 of an inch away. And this one, the flap will go underneath. So I'm going to add glue. I'm going to be fairly generous because again, this is the hinge. This is really important to get a good stick. So make sure it's straight. You want it parallel to the bottom and parallel to the edge of that crease, that channel. And I'm going to burnish that real well. Then I'll open this up and I'll burnish here real well. Now I'm going to take another one and add glue onto this 1/2 inch piece and put it right at the edge of that last one. Make sure the page is straight up and down. And burnish. One more. Put it at the edge of this other piece. Burnish. Get that glue distributed. And now this one is going to get glued right on top of that other one. So you still should have 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch left on the inside spine. So I'm going to add glue here. And put it right on top of that last 1/2 inch tab. So you want to make sure this page will still open and that everything is parallel. I'm going to burnish. Real well. So you've got all 4 of your pages with the pockets in the front. And there we go with the construction of the book. So we'll finish decorating. So these pages should be 1/8 of an inch bigger than 6 inches. So you'll need to cut it down because it's 5.5. So you can, I'm sorry, they're 5 inches. So you can take your 6x6 paper. This is great for any of the not too shabby paper pads. You're just going to cut this down to 4 7/8 and leave it at 6 inches. Okay, so you're going to cut 8 pieces of paper. You're going to have the 6 inches going up and down. You're going to cut off a small piece. It'll be about 1 1/8. And you're going to cut this 4 7/8. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut off 2 1/4 off the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter. So you'll glue this 2 1/4 inch piece onto the bottom pocket, and then you'll take this, turn it upside down, use the pattern, and this will go on the top. I'm gonna just loosen this a little bit, glue this on, and then glue this down. So this will go here, just a smidgen inside that pocket. You want to have about an even border all around. And I'll go ahead and add paper to the book. Usually I'll put the busy pattern on the plain side, and I might have the solid pattern in the pocket or on the outside of the pocket. As you can see, I change it for different pages. So that is it. That's how to make this little mini album. I hope you make it and start adding some of your memories to it as well. Thank you so much to the Not Too Shabby shop for letting me guest design. I'm excited that I was able to play with this gorgeous collection. This is a great s'mores collection, perfect for those outdoor memories, or even if you just sit in the backyard and make some s'mores. Thanks again for watching, and have a fabulous day.